Absolutely. I mean, elsewhere, Napoli will hold talks with Manchester United today as they look to finalise a deal for striker Rasmus Hojlund. Two other clubs, one from England and one from Germany, made late inquiries for Hojlund, but he's made it clear he does want to go to Napoli. He's ready to travel to Naples. He's at the airport. He's not at the airport, but once the club can agree on the move. I mean, Charlie, Rasmus came from Serie A. You know, we spoke to Julien Laurent about it as well. And I suppose just trying to rediscover your best form, it sort of maybe makes sense to go back to the club that got you that big move to Man United.
100%. Yeah, I think it's where he feels most comfortable. And like you said, where he's had the most success in his footballing career. So he wants to go back to Serie A and he probably rediscover the form and probably enjoy football what he was before. So if it can get done, I'm sure all parties, I think, will be happy.
Yeah, the midfielder Kobbie Mainoo amid growing interest from the Premier League and in Europe as well. I mean, Charlie, it's a little bit of a weird one that we're sat here talking about Kobbie Mainoo potentially leaving United. Yeah,
it's an interesting one, you know, because they say what he done last season and how well he played for the Man United side. You think he'd be pushing himself and probably playing more minutes than what he has done. So I'm sure him being a young Man United fan, he wants to play for Man United as much as he can. But with it being a World Cup year now, again, he's trying to force himself into that England squad. So he may have to find himself going somewhere else. And I'm sure there will be plenty of suitors in the Premier League and around Europe who would gladly take him.
I mean, yeah. Brilliant midfielder, and we saw that for Man United and England at times. Do you think he'll end up leaving Manchester United in this window?
I think it's really difficult. I think he's open to moving because of the limited options he's going to have this season. The club are expecting offers for him. It does feel like his minutes are going to be limited under Ruben Amorim, and Amorim suggested that he's a direct rival for Bruno Fernandes, and Fernandes started all but 5 of their 60 matches last season. So it feels unlikely he's going to get many opportunities there. And United aren't in Europe this season, so there is limited game time. It'll be really interesting to see whether he plays against Grimsby tonight in the Carabao Cup. And the fact is, Amorim doesn't feel that he has the mobility to play alongside Bruno Fernandes, and that has been a criticism aimed at Kobbie Mainoo. United have actively been looking to sign a midfielder in this transfer window, so things don't look great in terms of Kobbie Mainoo's short-term options at Manchester United. But we know things can change very quickly with injuries. Anything can happen in this transfer window. But I think United letting go of Kobbie Mainoo would represent a real problem for the club and for the fan base, because I think the club and the fans have been very supportive of Ruben Amorim because they appreciate there does need to be a culture shift, there does need to be a reset, and that's why they can understand why Marcus Rashford needed to be frozen out and needed to leave. They can understand the Alejandro Garnacho situation, 2 academy graduates who are no longer part of the first team picture. But for Kobbie Mainoo, whilst it's clear that he's slipped down the pecking order at Manchester United, it leaves them in a really difficult position when it comes to academy graduates and their opportunities in the United first team. United have such a proud record. They talk about this all the time, having an academy graduate in every senior matchday squad. It's a record that goes back all the way to 1937, and currently that record, it went up to 4,323 games on Sunday, with Kobbie Mainoo on the bench alongside Tyler Fredrickson. If Alejandro Garnacho departs and Kobbie Mainoo goes, there's a real danger that record is under threat. I'm not saying Ruben Amorim should be thinking about that, but from a club perspective, that would be really, really disappointing, because the academy is such an important part of United for a number of reasons. If Mainoo goes, then it would be a sad day for United fans, I think.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
Charlie?
I agree with that. I think it's the culture at Man United. Like James said, they speak about it all the time, and for it to 4,000, 3,000 games, that has to be implemented, I think, from the top down. And I'm sure Almiron knows definitely about it, and I'm sure that tradition will carry on. But like you said, it's a shame if Mainoo goes, but on the flip side, it's an opportunity for another youngster to come in and hopefully stamp there and break through into the first team.
Yeah, and is Alejandro Garnacho, Charlie. I mean, it feels like he only wants Chelsea. But as a young player, there's so much potential there. If he doesn't go to Chelsea, then what for him?
Well, that's a big question. I'm sure his advisors will have a plan in place, and like James said, there is windows still open. So I'm guessing that's where he may end up if he wants to play, because, like you say, his heart is set on Chelsea. But if that doesn't materialise, then what's next for him?
Yeah, the clubs are still quite far away in terms of valuation for Alejandro Garnacho, but whether he'll be a Manchester United player, a Chelsea player, or go somewhere else, we will wait and see. Jay, so it's now time to speak to European football expert Julien Laurent joins us. Julian, there's no argy-bargy this week, which is really, really sad. But one of our top stories is about Kobbie Mainoo, who could leave Manchester United this summer. Clubs in Europe interested as well. I know he's been linked with some Premier League clubs before, but I mean, it feels like a weird one. Where could you see him going to?
Yeah, you're right, Liv. I think it's a bit strange in the sense that not that long ago he was the next big thing in English football, really, both at United and for England, starting, doing really well. He's a player that is so gifted technically. Clearly, there's no doubt. And maybe you can discuss what his best position is on the pitch, which is, I think, a fair debate. But there are indeed a few clubs in Europe, in France, in Italy and in Spain, who are looking at this situation, somebody who's not on big money currently because this is his first deal at United, who is not playing at all, not even a single second so far in the Premier League. So I think the only issue here is there's just not many days left in the transfer window, and I just don't understand why the situation is rumbling on now like it is, because United want to keep him, okay, but this is not a good situation for him. He doesn't play at all, and I think he could go somewhere else and be far happier on the pitch, but there's just not enough time, I think, left for him to be able to find another club.
Oh, it's an interesting one. It's a bit of a World Cup year as well. He's obviously going to want to play. I mean, it does look like exits at United are getting closer. Obviously, Rasmus Hojlund joined from Serie A. Now looks like he wants to go back to Serie A and Napoli. Is that a good fit?
Yeah, I think it would be good. I mean, for him, we can discuss it because he's obviously coming in because Romelu Lukaku got injured and he's out until December. So he's very much the replacement of that. But what happens to Hojlund when Lukaku comes back in December? I think in Conte's mind, unless Hojlund does exceptionally well between now and December, which might be the case if he joins Napoli, the number one is very much Lukaku in that position. And they would only play really with a striker because behind you've got De Bruyne and Scott McTominay, who are very important players for that team. So I'm not really sure where Hojlund fits past December, but for now, he almost went to Milan and in the end could not really find an agreement personally with them. But Napoli, I think, is a challenge that he wants to go to, and they certainly need a player like him to play up front. We saw Lorenzo Luca starting at the weekend away at Sassuolo, and that was not really that great. Hojlund is an upgrade on him, I think. But what kind of Hojlund would we see? Was it the one that was at Atalanta before signing to Man United, or the one that was so average at Man United?
Manchester United are very optimistic that they can complete a deal to sign Lammens in the next 24 hours, according to journalist Christopher Michel. The Red Devils have spent the whole summer improving their attacking options for Ruben Amorim, spending more than £200 million on deals for Matheus Cunha, Brian Buemo and Benjamin Sesko. But now the club are keen to improve the squad in other positions too, and a move for a new goalkeeper is advancing. Lammens, who has been described as phenomenal, has emerged as the top target at Old Trafford for the position between the sticks, and talks are ongoing over a deal worth around £17 million. The player has already agreed personal terms and said yes to the project, with Royal Antwerp willing to let him go as they want to honour his desires, but a deal so far hasn't been agreed between the clubs. However, according to Michel, Old Trafford Chiefs are very optimistic that a deal can be completed in the next 2 days. The journalist wrote the post on X on Tuesday afternoon, which would suggest United are hopeful of getting the deal finalised before Thursday night, ahead of their next Premier League clash where they will take on Burnley at Old Trafford. So far this season, Amorim has opted to play Altay Bayindir as his goalkeeper against Arsenal and Fulham, with regular first-choice option Andre Onana not in the squad for the opener before then being left on the bench at Craven Cottage. While Lammens isn't expected to immediately become the number one goalkeeper, he is set to compete with the current senior options, and at least one of Bayindir or Onana would be expected to leave before the deadline on September 1st. United are also expecting to sell Alejandro Garnacho, Tyrell Malaysia and Jadon Sancho before the end of the transfer window, with only Marcus Rashford having left the first-team squad this summer after he joined Barcelona on a season-long loan earlier in the window.